Hey everybody, welcome back to Arma Guy's channel. Today I'm gonna test out my new Track IR 5. I've been really looking forward to that. I've been talking about it on my stream and in some of the other games that I've been playing. Uh, I tried it earlier with ATS for a little bit. There were some sensitivity issues, so I switched over to DCS and I'm using some of the default setups for the profiles for like the presets, right? For DCS for flying and stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it here. And what I'm going to do, because I haven't flown this in a long time. So, by the way, so I'm using the T-Flight 1. Got the HOTAS over here on this side. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. I've got my flight stick here. I may need to adjust my camera for this. Let me check real quick. See if you can see this stuff here. Sorta. Okay, so I got my throttle quadrant over here. I've got my joystick here. And this is the T-Flight 1. And then underneath me here, I've got the Thrustmaster rudder pedals. And then I'm using the Track IR. And I've got the hat clip on. I'm not using the headset this time. So far, the hat clip seems to be working pretty nicely. Let me just open Track IR. That's the one thing I forgot to open. Hang on just a second here. Track IR. Okay, just trying to get it to sense my head movement here. I know it looks funny, but yeah, I have to set this up. So let's see, profile flying. It should be all preset in DCS. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the training mission for the Huey. It's been a while since I've flown, so I'm just gonna walk through a couple of the training missions with it and see how the Track IR functions. So basically, for those of you who don't know what Track IR is, basically it is infrared head tracking. So there's these little sensors right here below the camera that you can see probably. Maybe you can't see it. You can see the clip on my hat. This clip has little sensors here and there. I shouldn't say really sensors, but IR panels. And the sensor here will pick them up. And then you'll see when I'm moving my head in the
Welcome
game
to the cold start lesson, cadet.
if it's
Today we
working.
will practice starting up the
May
Huey
not
and
be
getting her
working.
ready for flight. Press the spacebar key when you are ready to begin.
Okay.
Before we begin, press right control and C to close the cockpit doors.
Obviously, close
First,
those
we need to
cockpit
provide
doors.
electrical power to the aircraft. This can be done with the help of the ground crew, but we'll use onboard power. Take a look on the overhead console. On the AC power control panel, set the
Okay.
AC phase voltmeter selector switch to
Track IR is
AC
not working
and
with
the
this right
inverter
now.
switch labeled
I may have to restart
INVTR to
DCS. A
off.
second ago, I had to restart it because the sound wasn't working. So let me quickly restart. I think what I did wrong was I had Track IR running last, and so it seems like it's not properly working now. So let's just restart DCS. Shouldn't take very long to do it all. You'll see a little black screen here for just a second. Okay, Track IR seems to be working now. Flying. We'll update later. Okay, give me just a second. Let's get back into DCS. For those of you who play DCS, you understand that you have to log in, do all that stuff. So I'm logged in. I just got to wait for this game to launch. And game should be launching any second now. Okay. We're back in. Got sound. Got my mic working. Okay, track IR's on. So let's go back to the training, back to the cold start, and try again. It seems now to be working. It's running the left green light and the right green light. So if you have a left green light, that means that it's tracking. If you have, yeah, it's tracking now. Cool. So we'll go to fly.
Welcome to the cold start lesson, Cadet.
I'll turn this up so
Today
you can
we
hear
will
it.
practice starting up the Huey and getting her ready for flight. Press the spacebar key when you are ready to begin.
We'll press the space bar.
Before we begin, press right control and C to close the cockpit doors.
Right control C.
First, we need to provide electrical
Doors
power
closing.
to the aircraft. This can be done with the help of the ground crew, but we'll use onboard power. Take a
We're
look
going
on
to
the
look up at
overhead
our panel
console.
here.
On the AC power control panel, set the AC phase voltmeter selector switch to AC and the inverter switch labeled INVTR to off. Now on the DC power control panel, set the main generator switch to on and the DC voltmeter selector switch to ESS bus, essential bus. Next, set the starter generator switch to start and turn on the battery.
Go back up. Start. Turn on the battery.
Don't worry, that's just the low RPM warning blaring, which is normal right now. Press the low RPM audio switch to acknowledge the warning. Let's also test the caution lights panel to make sure all of the lights are operative. Set and hold the test switch in the down position. Make sure all of the caution lights are on.
They're all on.
Next, on the engine control panel, set the main fuel switch to on and the governor switch to auto. All other fuel switches should be off.
They're on.
On the miscellaneous control panel, set the hydraulic control switch to on, the force trim switch to on, and make sure the chip detector system is set to both.
On. On.
Before starting the engine, we need to make sure the throttle is set to idle. The throttle is located on the grip of the collective control handle next to the pilot's left leg. The throttle is twisted left using the page up key to increase it, and right using the page down key to decrease it. Press and hold the page down key for a few seconds to make sure the throttle twist grip on the collective control handle is set to the idle stop position. Also,
Neutral.
make sure the stick and pedals are in the neutral position and the
Stick
collective
and pedals.
is fully lowered.
Neutral.
You can check the position of the
Collective.
controls on the controls indicator by pressing right control and enter.
Good to go. Right control and enter. Left, right control and enter. Page down. Right control, enter. It should have displayed that. I don't know why it's not. There it is. Right control, enter. Selected. Collective. It's neutral. Throttle is in the neutral position. rudder pedals. Good.
To start the engine, you will need to press and hold the home key on the keyboard to pull the engine start trigger located beneath the switch box of the collective control handle. As the engine spools up, you will need to monitor the engine instruments and the clock. The engine start button needs to be held down until the gas producer speed reaches 40% or 40 seconds have passed on the clock, whichever comes first. You should also see the rotor begin to turn around 15% of gas producer RPM. If this does not happen, abort the start sequence. Whenever you're ready, begin the ignition sequence by pressing and holding the home key on the keyboard. The helicopter will toss you around quite a bit as the rotor spins up. Let me know if you need to use the bag.
Okay, engine's pulling. Watching the gas producer.
Okay, we're idling normally. Let's set up the avionics. Back on the overhead console, turn on the inverter by setting it to main on.
Inverter on.
We'll now power up the radio systems. Set the AM APX 72 transponder to standby (STBY) by right-clicking once over the master switch. Turn on the AM ARM 82 VHF NAVCOM radio by right-clicking on the power switch once. Turn on the AM ARC 134 VHF COM radio by right-clicking on the power switch once. Turn on the AM ARC 51BX UHF radio by setting the function switch to T-on, transmit receive. Set the interphone selector switch to 3 to set the VHF COM radio for transmission. This will allow you to communicate with ATC. To communicate with Winmet, we will usually transmit over the UHF radio, which is position 2 of this switch. Turn on the AM ARC 131 VHF FM radio by setting the mode switch to T-on, transmit receive. Turn on the AM ARN 83 ADF receiver by setting the mode switch to ADF. To complete the avionics setup, set the starter generator to standby (STBY) on the overhead console. Let's now run up the engine to normal power. Press the page up repeatedly and monitor the engine and rotor RPM indicator as power increases. Continue to slowly add power until the throttle grip on the collector is twisting all the way to the left. Watch the engine RPM stabilize on 6600 and rotor RPM on 324.
You really don't want to rudder out like that, but we did, so. Now I'm just trying to get refamiliarized with my rudder pedals. I want to turn to the left, leg forward on the left leg. I want to turn to the right leg, go forward to the right. Okay, so we're flying now. So now I can use my track IR to look out the windows. I can look down. I can look behind me if I want. And I don't have to worry too much about crashing like I did before, whereas I'd had to use the hat switch, lock in to a view, and sit there and just kind of fight with it. Now I don't have to do any of that anymore. And at some point, I'll set up my track IR so that whenever I come forward, it zooms. It's supposed to be able to zoom. It sort of does, but not quite. So for those of you guys who don't have the Huey, I can just let you know right out of the gate on this. This thing is a wild beast. It has its kind of its own mind. You have to really fly the thing. Click over test switch on the master caution panel. I took off a little too soon. I shouldn't have done that. It's just I was hitting page up and it just kind of took off, so I tried to counteract the rotor and then just went ahead and took off. So for somebody who's been flying all these years without any rudder pedals and without track IR for years and years, it's been an experience, and I'm still learning, obviously. Definitely still learning. But I can tell you this, I don't have to fight as hard with this thing now. It's a lot easier with rudder pedals once you get used to it and understand kind of how to rudder around. It's not too bad. This is me just kind of little shitting around here. I'm going to set her down. And we'll run the test on this.
If the engine RPM is off the 6600 mark, you can use the governor RPM switch collector, also known as the boot switch.
So this is why we did that. I forgot to do this part.
Well done.
So now that that's all done, we should have actually been able to fly. The only thing that I didn't do is basically activate that switch to make sure that the even right now I'm wanting the hat switch down, but the rotor governor, right, that's what I didn't do. So it's going to take me a little getting used to, but I think I'll be able to tame this wild horse pretty quick. I've already been able to land on some rooftops when I was trying this earlier, but I only tried it for just a minute, and then I exited out and trying to work on some other things. But see, like I was trying to land up on this roof over here. With the Huey, the problem is that when you come into, I think what I'm going to refer to as ground effect, it starts to really kick up a lot of power and a lot of torque happens very quickly. And if you're not at the right power setting, you either go up or you crash. So it's got to be the right power setting. You just got to be real gentle. So what I'm going to let it do is just kind of do its own thing for a second here. Letting it just kind of level off. All that shuddering and stuff, we don't really want that. That means it's kind of transitioning through power stages. We don't really want that. There we go. I think it's like Shift D to open these doors. Let's check. I guess not. Those are just views. I thought it was Shift D to open the doors. Usually if you have guns, that's what it is. 3 and 4. So I'll take back off and you'll see it start to shudder as it transitions through the power. You obviously have to apply that torque to get rid of that rotor. Not rotor, but the rudder. And we're dropping a little bit. But it's because I'm basically a new Huey pilot trying to get used to it again. I've flown this thing around a bit in the sim, but I don't have a lot of time flying it. So at the same time that I'm fighting the rotor, the rudder, excuse me, at the same time that I'm fighting with the rudder to get rid of the torque, I'm also trying to apply enough rudder that I can continue straight and level flight. And that was a big transition for me when I first got the rudder pedals. It was really a pain for me to turn with the rudders. I kept just wanting to just turn to the side and crank on it because I had been flying with the joystick rudder for so long, and it's taken a little bit to kind of break that habit. Now I don't twist the joystick to turn at all, whereas I used to just constantly do that. And it's the same thing now with this track IR in ATS. What I'm finding that I'm doing a lot now, and I'm trying to break the habit of, is grabbing the mouse to look, because every time I would go to turn a corner, I'd always grab the mouse to look, and now I don't have to do that anymore. And so I'm basically able to hover here now if I want. I'm going to try to get it into a nice steady hover. Got a little torque going on here. Hang on a second. Torque starts getting really bad as you bring her down toward the ground. Let's give it a little bit of back on the stick. It's that rudder just constantly trying to spin me. So right now, my rudder is actually almost max on my left leg. Rudder is all the way now. It's just me fighting torque. But you can adjust that, you can compensate for that, and you can set trim. And I do have a button on the joystick set for trim. I just don't remember what it is. Might be that one. See, it just doesn't want to turn that way. But if I take off and I give it that rudder, it'll want to go the other way now. Now it wants to go this way. I can counteract that with the rudder. This is just me basically trying to remember how to learn how to fly, and using track IR. See, he's got that stick like that. And just okay, so now I'm done with this stage. I'm going to move on to the next. I'll just set it down in the middle of the runway if I can. One of the things that I found really difficult with the Huey was that once you actually have gotten it up where it's really galloping, like it's really moving fast, is that it's really hard to come down and land. It just does not want to bleed speed. So this is not me actually trying to do this. I'm trying to rudder the other way. You can see all that shuddering. It's transitioning the power stages. Trying to get on that rudder stuff right now and bring her down. I'm just kind of wobbling all over the place right now. This is me just getting used to the rudder. Yeah, so that even though I'm full on that rudder, it's not wanting to react to that. There's so much torque that it's just pulling hard. I think I've got it. Give it a light rudder. Oh, easy, easy. Yeah, I think we got it. Alright, let's set her down. Okay. So I think we're ready to move on to the next stage. Pickup demonstration. This is where it's talking about the hovering.
Lesson. In this lesson, we will take the Huey off the ground and into a low altitude hover and ground effect.
What I was doing.
To demonstrate the initial step of a takeoff and basic hover control. For this lesson, the helicopter is lightly loaded and the weather is ideal with no wind. Control requirements will vary with increased takeoff weight and will be more difficult in windy conditions.
Yeah.
Use the controls indicator to monitor the position of the flight controls. Remember, the flight controls of a helicopter are almost never stationary in flight, in particular the cyclic and especially during a hover. When performing a takeoff, be prepared to constantly make fine adjustments to the controls. Let's take a look at the position of the flight controls. At mission start, the cyclic and pedals are neutralized in the center. The collective is in a fully down position. Unfortunately, the starting position of the controls isn't very useful for flight. The position of the controls for any particular flight regime, including a hover, depend on airspeed, altitude, aircraft weight, payload, weather, and other conditions. However, the approximate hover position of the controls will generally be with the cyclic back and left and the left pedal pressed in. I will now set my controls in the approximate hover position. Watch the positions of the cyclic and pedals on the controls indicator. Once your controls are set in the approximate hover position, begin to very slowly raise the collective. Do this slowly enough to give yourself time to counteract any movement you detect from the helicopter.
Like the massive torque that I'm getting.
Counter any roll and sliding tendency with very light opposite cyclic. Counter any nose yaw with very light opposite pedal. Pay attention to how the cyclic is used continuously to make fine adjustments in attitude, and the pedals are used to maintain heading. Find a visual reference point well ahead of the helicopter. This will help to maintain closer visual cues like the runway markings within your peripheral vision to help you detect movement. Allow the helicopter to settle at a desired altitude and let the collective rest in place. The helicopter hovers best near the ground, where ground effect acts like an air cushion below the helicopter. Ground effect is only present to an altitude of approximately half of the rotor's diameter, or about 24 feet. It is reduced as altitude increases. Climbing above this altitude will transition you out of ground effect, OGE, which demands more engine power to maintain. Hovering out of ground effect may be impossible with high takeoff weights or in hot and high conditions. When performing a takeoff, you will proceed with the transition to forward flight from a hover altitude of about 3 feet skid height. This concludes the pickup demonstration lesson.
Okay.
Welcome to the takeoff demonstration lesson. In this lesson, we will transition from a low-altitude hover into forward flight to complete the takeoff. You should already be familiar with the pickup lesson and be able to take the helicopter off the ground and into a hover and ground effect, IGE. Use the controls indicator to monitor the position of the flight controls. One of the critical elements of this lesson is the change in the position of the controls seen as we pick up airspeed and transition the helicopter from a hover into forward flight. Pay attention to the position of the cyclic and pedals in the hover and how they are operated as we accelerate forward. As always, it's important to make sure your control inputs are smooth and continuous, giving you plenty of time to balance the helicopter and keep it flying where you want it to and not where it wants to fly you. I will now bring the helicopter to a low-altitude hover as demonstrated in the pickup lesson. Take a note of the positions of the flight controls. To begin the transition to forward flight, dip the nose down very slightly with a little forward stick. As the helicopter begins to move forward, the lower pitch angle will result in a slight descent, requiring a slight increase of the collective at the same time. Your goal is to minimize climb until you reach a safe climbing speed of at least 30 knots. You also want to keep the skids aligned with your ground track in case you end up on the ground. Use the pedals to keep the slip ball centered to minimize side slip and the right instrument column to maintain heading. The vibrations indicate that you are passing through effective translational lift, or ETL, which means you are flying fast enough to be ahead of your own turbulence and the rotors are becoming increasingly more efficient in the smooth air. This results in a tendency to balloon the helicopter upward, raising the nose up and yawing left. These tendencies need to be anticipated and compensated for by pushing the stick forward to prevent an early climb and decreasing left pedal input to maintain heading. Notice the position of the flight controls now as compared to the hover position we started with. The cyclic is much more forward and right, while the pedals are almost neutral. After reaching a safe climbing speed of at least 30 knots, you can proceed with a climb to your desired altitude at an airspeed that provides the best climb rate, which is generally between 60 to 80 knots. This concludes the takeoff demonstration lesson.
I don't know why they give you the videos, but then they don't present you with actually doing it until this part, pick up and take off solo practice. Okay. So helicopter's ready to go at this point. Feet on the rudder pedal here. So we'll get the indicator up. Oh, easy. That didn't take much at all. The throttle is super sensitive. Let's put it back down. She wants to go. She's a wild horse. You have to be really super sensitive on the throttles. Yeah, she wants to go. I basically have to keep my hand kind of locked in on this throttle control. I need about 30%, more than that. Got about, there we go, about 40% on that rudder. I'm actually max rudder now. I don't know what's going on with the rudder. It's just like it's not adequate to get rid of that torque. And it should be, so I don't know why it's doing that. Either there's a ton of wind out here, something. That's me trying the rudder to make sure that the rudder's in full effect, and it is. I'll try again. Try and raise up. Go back this way. And raise up. I'm trying to give it the rudder that it needs to fight that. It just is not having it. It's not having it. Like it's inadequate input on that pedal. The moment I go to take off, it just rips hard again back in the other direction. I'm not sure why it's doing that. But I can hover it, it's just, it's constantly wanting to rip to the right, and I don't know why. Because with the rudder pedals the way that they are, I should be able to apply enough left rudder to prevent it spinning to the right like that. And yet, somehow I'm not able to. Let's set this down and look at some settings. So I said I was meant to set this to slider 2, but I don't know if that actually will work. Let's search rudder. Yeah. Rudder left. It's not going to give me the input. Yeah, see, it doesn't give me the input, and I don't know why. It wasn't doing that before. I don't know why DCS just decided to wipe out my rudder pedals and reset that, but okay, not a big deal. I can still fly like that. I don't care. I'll take off and prove it. So. It just constantly wants to yaw that way. I don't know if that's because I'm in Yeah, it's only when I'm in ground effect that it does that the most. When I'm in the air, it doesn't do it like that. I guess because I also have a lot of speed that prevents it from doing that, but not a big deal. I can make it work. So, rudder pedals right now are neutral position. Yeah, I have no problem flying like this. I'm just playing with the rudder right now, trying to figure out how much actual give I've got on that. It's like the sensitivity's not high enough on my rudder. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Either way, I can fly this. I don't really care. It doesn't bother me that much. Most of the time, before I had rudder pedals, I was really mostly just yanking and banking. And I'll show you what I mean by that. You get up a little altitude. And so in order to go one way, yank and bank. There we go, just like that. Or bank and yank, I guess you could say. Just turn in the direction you want to go and crank the nose. And it works either way. So even with rudder not being super effective, I can still do whatever I want to do. I don't know if it's going to be doing that with the rudder pedals in the Mustang, which I might actually go ahead and try their Mustang. I don't have the payware version. I have the freeware version. But I might go ahead and try the Mustang. It's a different experience. It's a different flight experience. I'm just flying the Huey right now because that's what my video said I was going to do. So that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I can totally fly this. It's not an issue. And I have full control over this. It looks like I don't, but I do. I'm easily doing what I want to do with this thing. Like I said, though, I've got experience from flying it all that time. It takes a little bit of practice to get used to this thing, but once you learn the throttles, do's and don'ts, and the stuff that you don't want to do, it's fine. So I'm going to take it and set it down now. Go over here and land. Just trying to get that rudder to work a little bit. I'm gonna go land next to that other one. Maybe not quite like that. But Just fighting with the rudder. Moving up to altitude so I don't bump this Huey over here. There we are. So the rudder works, it's not super responsive at some points. Like right now it's not. Okay. So that's that. Oh, yeah. Neutral is basically military power, so you don't want to leave it at neutral, you gotta take it all the way down. Just take it all the way down. Page down the power. Alright. So let's see. What was this one? I did that. I already did the landing thing, but I guess I could do it again. I want to do the weapons thing instead of doing the landing. I don't need to worry about landing. I probably just need to adjust my rudder sensitivity or something.
Welcome to the weapons training lesson.
This is going to teach me the weapons.
The weapon systems employed by the Huey and their associated cockpit controls.
Which I already
You
kind
will
of
then
know
have
these.
some live fire time on the target range. Press the spacebar key when you're ready to begin.
I'm ready to begin.
The Huey is equipped with the M21 and M23 armament subsystems. The M21 system utilizes two external hardpoint weapon stations on each side of the helicopter. These can be loaded with 7 or 19 tube launchers of 2.75-inch unguided rockets and M134 7.62mm 6-barrel high rate of fire machine guns attached on steerable mounts. The M23 system includes two traversable 7.62mm M60D machine guns operated by the door gunners on each side of the helicopter. You can press the F2 key to go to an external view of the helicopter and use the mouse to get a better view of the weapon systems. Press F1 to return to the cockpit view. Press the spacebar key to proceed.
So F2 is external view, and F1 is return to cockpit. There's the external. That's what the helicopter looks like. Can't really mouse around anymore. Oh, I can mouse. Okay. So this is what your Huey looks like in this Huey module on the outside. I've got rocket pods on. This thing is heavy with rocket pods and guns. You don't want to have a bunch of fuel in this thing with that. We'll go back to 1. Press spacebar. Proceed.
Rockets are aimed and fired by the right pilot using the M60 reflex sight. Rocket launchers are installed on fixed weapon stations, so aiming is accomplished by flying the helicopter to place the aiming pipper over the target. The M134 machine guns can be fired in either stow or flexible mode. In stow mode, the guns are fixed in the forward position and are operated by the pilot much like the rockets. In flexible mode, the left pilot uses the flexible M21 sighting station to aim the guns. This makes it possible to aim away from the helicopter's nose by physically moving the aiming sight to place the reticle over the target. The guns track the movement of the aiming station. If the operator aims too far to either side, only the inboard gun will fire to prevent striking the helicopter's own fuselage with the outboard gun. Press the spacebar key to proceed. The weapons are selected and prepared for fire using the armament control panel and intervalometer control panel on the central pedestal. The The armament control panel includes the master arm switch and the gun selector switch, which controls selection of the left, right, or both machine guns for fire. The intervalometer control panel includes the armament selector switch, which controls selection of the guns or rockets for fire, and the rocket pair selector switch, which sets the number of rocket pairs to be fired while the trigger switch is held down. This panel also includes the rocket reset and launcher jettison switches. Press the spacebar key to proceed. We'll now review the steps required to employ rockets. First, set the armament selector switch to 2.75 or press right alt and close bracket to select rockets for fire.
Oh.
Then set the number of rocket pairs you wish to fire while the trigger switch is held down. Because rockets induce a significant recoil and this is a practice mission, let's set this to 1 or press right control close bracket once. This setting will fire a single pair of rockets every time you squeeze the trigger.
Yeah, I know how to do that. It's just the seat's getting in my way. Okay. So you turn it, set it to rockets. Should be rockets there. And set it to just one.
Switch to save or press right shift and close bracket once. This will allow us to see the aiming sight indication, but prevent accidental firing before we are safely airborne. Press the M key on the keyboard to turn on the aiming sight. You now have an aiming reticle projected forward of the helicopter. To employ rockets, you will fly the helicopter to place the aiming reticle over the target. Stabilize your flight path to minimize the side slip, and fire.
I don't have that.
Rockets are not very accurate and most effective against groups of
what it
soft
means
targets
is this.
at ranges of up to 2 kilometers. Accuracy increases as you get closer to the target, but so does the risk of being hit by return fire. As a general rule, you should turn away from the target immediately after the attack and avoid flying over the target whenever possible. Press the spacebar key to proceed. Now let's review the steps required to employ the M134 guns. First, set the armament selector switch to 7.62 or press right alt and open bracket to select the guns. Note that you can also choose to fire only the left or right gun using the gun selector switch on the armament control panel, but we'll keep both guns selected.
Freaking out. Come on, track IR. Quit doing that.
The right pilot can fire the guns in stow mode, much like the rockets, by simply flying the helicopter to place the reticle over the target and firing. However, to make best use of the guns, let's switch to the left pilot position. Press 2 on the keyboard to jump into the left seat.
Right.
You can now see the M21 sighting station display with the aiming reticle. With flexible mode on, the left pilot can smooth the guns away from the straight-ahead position and toward a desired target. To try this, you can use the arrow keys on the keyboard numpad to view controls on your joystick, or enable mouse look by pressing left alt and C on the keyboard, and then use the mouse to control the direction of the sight. Practice controlling the sight until you are comfortable doing so, then return the sight to a forward position and press the M key on the keyboard to stow the sight away and disable flexible mode. It's important to note that when flexible mode is on and you are in the left pilot position, the AI pilot takes over helicopter control according to the selected autopilot mode. Refer to the aircraft documentation for an overview of available AI flight control commands. When the autopilot availability option is set to on in the UH1H special options menu, the autopilot and weapons indicator can be toggled on and off by pressing left control, left shift, and H. AI flight control can be toggled on and off at any time by pressing left win and A. Now let's try door gunner position. Press 3 on the keyboard to take
Door
the
gunners.
right gunner's
Here we go, door gunners.
As with the M21 sighting station, you can aim the M16E machine guns using a number of view options, including the keyboard numpad, the joystick view controls, or by toggling mouse look mode with left alt C. Practice aiming the gun until you are comfortable doing so. Press the spacebar key to proceed. As with the left pilot position, the AI pilot takes over helicopter control when you take the door gunner's position. Once again, AI flight control can be toggled on and off at any time by pressing the left Windows key and A. Press 1 on the keyboard to switch back to the right pilot position.
Okay.
Let's select rockets for fire once again, as it will be our first weapon in the live fire exercise. Set the armament selector switch to the 2.75 position, or press right Alt and close bracket once. Remember, we've already set our rocket pair selector switch to 1.
Okay.
This concludes the overview of the weapon systems.
Yeah.
You can proceed to do some ground attack runs on the target range, which is set up about 2 kilometers directly ahead.
Yep.
The target range includes a variety of stationary targets and a group of moving vehicles.
Cool.
Turn on the aiming sight by pressing M on the keyboard. Set
need
the
to do
master
all
bomb switch to arm or press
Got
right
this
shift
one here.
and close bracket.
He's on that.
Whenever you're ready, proceed with takeoff and climb out to about 400 feet of altitude as you head south toward the target range.
Okay.
Keep your airspeed below 80 knots to give yourself time to aim and operate the controls.
Here we go. A little bit of that counter rudder there. We'll give it like a little bit as we take off. A lot of torque, that's all. Just gotta fight that torque. Once the torque's caught, then you just fly the plane. Helicopter. Behind us here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the co-pilot and do some back runs. That's how I usually do things until he's shot out or his gun doesn't work. So I'll line us up with pilot and then we'll put it on the co-pilot. Of course, slow us down here. Like he said, 80 knots. Well, we're doing about 60%. Okay, so I'll switch over now to our co-pilot and bring my gun down. And we also need to turn on that arm. Yeah, we gotta go back to pilot.
Find the target on the range and stabilize the helicopter so that the gripper stays on target. Minimize side slip during the attack by checking the slip bulb indicator on the instrument panel. Press the trigger switch or the spacebar key to fire one pair of rockets at a time.
Oh, something's going down. Hang on a second. Something. That something is me. And now the rudder pedals are responding. Alright, let's go to the co-pilot now. Get on that good side. And of course it doesn't. Close but no cigar. Let's try again.
Let's switch to guns. Set the armament selector switch to 7.62 or press right Alt and open bracket.
We'll do all that here in just a minute. I'm flying out to give us some distance so we can use our co-pilot's guns. Hard rudder turn. Gotta watch that power. Alright. Let's switch over to the co-pilot now. No, I said co-pilot. Get his gun out. Up on that gun sight. I guess I still have the controller. Okay. Not quite the way I wanted to do things, but it worked. You can kind of still see where my tracers are hitting. I'm still kind of a little too close. We'll switch over to the door gun now, like he was saying.
Fly the helicopter with the targets about 1 kilometer ahead of us and press 2 to take the left pilot position.
I just did that. Doing things a little backwards here. So if you notice, I'm really gentle when I'm making these pitch adjustments. Because there's something called mass bumping. If you jerk the control too hard, your rotor will literally flop into the mast and break off. So that's the reason why you see me making really gentle inputs. Should be basically leveled off at this point. Give a little bit more power though. Now we're basically a military power.
You can take over flight control by pressing left wing and A if you wish. Try strafing a target by moving the sighting station using your view controls and pressing the trigger switch or spacebar to fire the guns.
Yeah, about that. It doesn't really work great with track IR for the gun, unless that is your primary job, because you still have to fly the helicopter, sort of.
Fly the helicopter to place the targets at about 10 or 2 o'clock position off the nose, and take the right or left door gunner position by pressing 3 or 4.
Yeah, we'll just, yeah. You notice I'm still in the bad habit a little bit of the yank and bank instead of using the rudder as much as I should be. It's a process. Old habits die hard. Okay, so let's use our door gun now. Just level off here.
When firing the door gun, you need to aim slightly off target in the direction opposite from the helicopter's flight path. You can also change the AI flight control command to orbit by pressing left Alt and A. Let's see how well you do with the door gun.
Walking the tracers, basically. Not much more you can do.
This concludes the weapon training lesson. You can switch seats and continue to practice with rockets, guns, and door guns. Good hunting.
Go to 3. At 3 you can kind of aim a little bit better. Alright, let's go back to 1. Okay, so before we're done here, I'd like to try the rockets, so let's switch over to our rockets. A little bit more altitude than this. that torque a little bit. So it's not so much your input on the controls, it's also your throttle. Yeah, your throttle controls a lot of the movement. So if you kind of have to move the throttle as you fly. And we'll go over here and go down to the rockets. They should be on now. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna bag a vehicle. I could get about 10 shots. That was one. Trying to keep my head tracked right on that target. Doesn't quite work the way that I'd like it to, but bring green. There's some vehicles over there in the tree line. Fire for effect. Oh. That's good. And instead of trying to dive in for that, I'll just come around and make another pass on that. You can try to hit a tank, I guess. Not quite the tank I wanted to hit. They're fire and forget, so you don't really get a choice on where they hit. You just kind of have to hope that they hit. Still get another truck. Trying to keep my head where the thing will stay in the center. You can get a good shot. That should have cooked his goose. Oh, it did, okay. Alright, let's come over here and get some infantry. Those guys are KIA. Kind of have to slip a little bit to the side in order to get on the gun sight, but it's accurate. Pretty accurate. Especially when you're this close, it's hard to miss. Still got some infantry there. What else do we have over here? Probably had another vehicle somewhere hiding over here. There were 3. That's nice to be able to look out the window as you're passing by to the front. That's cool. I like that. But so far, I'm digging this track IR in this Huey. It's pretty nice. I like it. Oh, I cooked that other Ural. It just took a second to burn out. Did I cook his goose? Oh, there's one left. I was right. He was just out of sight. Back over here on this gun side. Oh, easy, easy. I'm hitting him, just not quite. A little bit of rudder problems there for a second. Trying to keep that. That's bad, that's bad. That's bad. When you see that red light come on, you done fucked up. So, that's alright. I was having fun. So, wasn't doing too bad. I was hitting at what I was aiming at, so. That's that for the training. Now I'm going to actually try a combat mission. Let's see. Here we go, instant action. Do the ground attack. Probably easy for this one. I don't remember which one it was that I was doing when I first. Yeah, it's this one. It says easy, but it's a little bit more difficult than that when you are readjusting. Okay, so right off the bat, I can just pull down my gun sight. I'll try to level off here. And I'll turn on my guns. Rockets. Intervalometer set for one pair. And get that master arm turned on. I do see we're dropping in altitude. We should be armed now. I can make some good shots from back here, I think. We'll see. Try to keep that crosshair center. Kind of tough to do. Yeah, there they are. Gotta fire high so they fall low. I didn't hit anything, so I'm shooting way too far. Alright, so with this convoy, what I like to do is try to get the guys with the guns first. They're the ones that are going to chew you up. So I'm going to fly over here real fast. Make a fast pass. Cook him. Or cook myself. That's close. Usually I make that shot. This time I didn't make it. So instead of sticking around, I'm going to go ahead and fly a little past him. So I have some airspeed still. They can't quite hit me. I'm going to spin around and try to get him again. Gotta watch my throttle here. It's a lot different when you're looking track IR. That ought to get him. He's not quite as damaged as I would like him to be. I'm gonna buzz off this way. I've only taken probably 2 or 3 hits so far. Mainly on the windshield. Okay, we're taking a little bit more now. He's trying to chew us up. That's the reason why you gotta keep your airspeed up so they can't quite hit you. Let's get back on this gun sight. And we'll swing around the front here. Try to pick this goose. That was kind of a piss poor hit. I did hit, it just wasn't the hit that I wanted. Oh, he's still up. He ain't now. Alright, that's not gonna work. I'll let my gunners have fun here in just a second. I want to get rid of these main guns. They're protecting convoy. This should be a good. This should be a hit. What a hit. I missed the MTLB. Trying to keep my head in the aiming spot. Difficult to do. Only got a couple of rockets left, so I gotta make these count. This guy should be out in the open this time. I should be able to pick him. No, that's no good. When you're trying to come in from the side, you got all those trees in the way, you got that house in the way. I like to come straight over the road. I'm trying to get them, so I know I'm not going to miss. Keep a shallow bank toward them. Okay, he's out. I think all the ones that are shooting down here are just infantry. Now what I'll do, swing around, straighten out, and let my door gunners have some fun. Too far away now. Extra knob off. We're too far away. They don't fly right at your target, because then the gunner can't see them. Oh shit, we lost it. Yep, that turn we lost all of our engine power and all of our lift. You can still use track IR when you're dead. That's still cool though. I mean, it's still fun. I haven't tried Elite Dangerous yet, but I do know that that works with Elite. So I think on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and end stream on DCS, the Huey, and I'll open stream back up on ATS and do a drive in ATS before we're all said and done here. Let me check and see where we're at in stream right now. Okay, we're an hour and 18, so what I'll do is I'll go for one more run on this one. That run was kind of trash, but it was also the first time I ever tried it using track IR, so it wasn't too bad on the hits, it's just making stupid things, stupid decisions. Fly again. Okay. So right off the bat, it keeps your throttle when you spawns you in here. You have to make massive adjustments to everything and get right before you can do anything in the cockpit. We'll get right. Turn that to 1. Turn our master arm on. And we're good to go. Now what I'll do is I'll bring down my gun sight. I could try to get them from back here, but it's kind of a waste of rockets. If you look above it, like their maximum range is like 3,500, but to be able to really see that far, pretty difficult. Trying to keep that crosshair center though, it's a pain in the butt. We're going to be coming in hot on this one. Missed. I think we were going so fast though. We missed and we passed, and he's not able to hit us with the guns. So that's kind of what I want. It's like a one pass haul ass type thing with an F-16, but with an attack chopper basically. So we should be able to get him this time. He's cooked. He is cooked. Let's pull this way. Keep our speed up. So we don't get hit in the tank. I gotta be careful making those sharp banks like that with sharp rudder, because when I was doing that, that's what was all that rudder on that turn. When I tried to do that, it caused me to lose all my lift. Oh, they're not even that far forward yet. I'm probably not going to be able to hit anything this time. Let's go around. We're going pretty quick, so I don't think they're going to be hitting me. We're almost max speed there. That DMLB, it is. And a little bit of rocking on the rudder though. That's not going to be a hit. I can fire though. Missed. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I just tried to duck the nose in to see if I could hit him on that pass. I knew I was probably gonna crash on that, but I didn't really care. It's hard to do it with this track IR on the guns. I don't know how you're supposed to be able to set that up. It's supposed to be able to zoom. I used to have a zoom button so you could see from far away. Now it's not set up for that, so I'll quit and try one more time. Fly again. This is the easy mission, but like I said, when you haven't done this with this type of setup, like rudder pedals and track IR, it makes it a lot more difficult. What I'm trying to do right now is basically match the speed with the nose forward attitude so that I can get this over to rocket, set the intervalometer, and then turn this on. Bring up our gun sight. The idea usually is to cook the guy in the front and cook the guy in the back, and then basically let my co-pilot use his machine guns to get the rest of them. Damn, I missed. I'm gonna swing this way this time. Try to come in on him instead. The rockets, they either hit above where your sight is or slightly below. Just depends on the angle and the speed that you're coming out at them. I am using my rudder right now, so it's just bouncy. Hard rudder turn. Let me get that bank in there. Release the throttle. We're dropping. I'm not going to be able to get that. Should be able to get him this fast. Damage 21. Damage 45. So he'll probably burn up on that one. 12 and 45. He's basically cooked. I'll spin around. See if he's still shooting at me. Yeah, he's gone. Now it's just those last couple trucks. Convoy's still moving. Oh shit! What the hell? How is he still up? That was close. I'm gonna get him. Getting some altitude, I'm just basically gonna dive on him. There we go. Got good visual on him. I don't think that hit anything. I'm trying to figure out how that guy's still up. I did almost 70 damage to him. He's cooked that time. He's done. We'll attack the rest of his convoy. I'll try to get some of these guys down here who are shooting at us. Yeah, we'll let my gunners get him. They're tearing me up. Must have something still up over there. I don't think that's just infantry. Alright, let's get on the gun. Too far away, I think. We're too far away. But the door's open now, so whenever I jump back over to it, it'll be there. We'll swing back around this way. Trying to make sure I don't lose end of target. Oh, that's the wrong one. There we are. So that's me shooting, right? But you can turn on your co-pilot. What is it? Turn fire, free fire, free fire. Right. It should be. Oh, I'm on that gun. That's why. There. Now they're all free fire. So what I'll do now, I forgot my co-pilot. I can get my co-pilot to take out the rest of these guys. If his guns are still working, that is. Come in low on this tree line, come back around. I'm basically done with my gun sight for now. Speed up. Now they're gonna deal with them. But before I do that, and I got them on short burst, so they're not gonna run out of ammo anytime soon. We're gonna switch over to the co-pilot and see if I can get some work done on them. He's free fire. He should be fine. His guns might be out. Let me check. No. Gun sight wasn't down. Why is it not slewing? Shit, we're gonna get tore up. He's got his gun sight down, so if he wants to fire now, he can. I'm gonna swing back around and let him light him up. Have a nice long run here. Nice long gun run here. Ah, come on, don't lose it. Ah. Went into a hard rudder turn and almost lost it completely. Let's see if we can get... Yeah, there he goes. There he goes. Now he's cooking. Look him. Look him. Shoot, man. Nice. Nice. I heard some kind of cannon. That was definitely not infantry. Dorgan's trying to get some. Kind of too far away. He's getting them, but he's kind of too far away for that. I'll worry about doing all that in a second. I want to get my co-pilot in here. Get him on. Come on, damn it, co-pilot. Get him. Get him. They might have killed my co-pilot. He's not firing. I think he's dead. We're gonna end up getting shot down if we don't start shooting. Yeah, he totally didn't even shoot. I'll have to check his guns and see if they work. What the hell, bro? I'll let my door gun put in some work. Get him. Yeah, he's lighting them up. Easy. I don't know what happened there. What's that infantryman? I'm gonna let that other door gunner get some. Maybe not dead. Shoot that damn infantryman. Get him. Shoot that AK dude. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Get him. Nice. What else is left? Alright, let him work on the other side here. You're almost out on the right side. There you go. Get him. Oh yeah, he's lighting them up. Nice, good job, good job. Good job, good job. What do we got left? What is left over there? Oh, left gunner's out. Right gunner's got a little bit left. I was wondering why he stopped shooting. What do we got left over here? There's one truck still rolling over here. Everything else is on fire. Okay. That's my cue. No, that's mine. I think he got him. I think he beat it. Just waiting for them all to finish blowing up now, I guess. I think I see the one that I need to get. He's just kind of smoking. He's not really on fire. If I have any rockets left, that is. Right hand's got 15. Oh, we almost lost it there. Oop. Yeah. Get him, co-pilot. I ain't got no damn rocket left. That was it for my rockets. Shit. Now co-pilot wants to shoot. What the hell was his deal the whole damn time? I'll bring it around and let him just finish off what's left. Looks like we got one left over here. Hard to get him to shoot. I'd like to at least finish this mission. It's basically done at this point. Just gotta finish off like that little guy right there. This co-pilot will fucking shoot. Ah, there we are. Should be done here. That should be everybody. Guess I'm missing somebody. And the rest have to burn up or something? That should be game. They're all cooked. Let's go check that road, I guess, and see if somebody's left alive. Come on. Yeah, that one's definitely gone. This guy's cooked. So is that guy. So I think we're just waiting for those fires to burn out, maybe. Or I can check along that road and see if maybe somebody got away. I don't think so, though. Maybe somebody got away? I don't think so. I think we're just waiting for these fires to finish burning. I'll follow this road and see where it goes. There's nobody hiding out on the road that I missed. Not seeing nobody. I think we're just waiting on those fires to go out, I guess. Whoops. Whoops. Yeah, nobody got away. I think we're just... I don't know how much longer we're supposed to be waiting. There ain't nothing out here. Alright, I guess I'll just head on back in that direction. Wait for the fire to finish burning out, so that there's nobody down here. And if not, then I'll just end the mission. We got everybody this time. And we're still up. Still got fuel. Gunners aren't shooting at anybody yet, so... I think we got everybody. There's the road. Fires are out. It just hasn't... Oh, okay, we got one left to go. Maybe there's somebody down there that I'm just not seeing. But the gunners would have shot at him, so I don't know. I don't know about that. Usually it would say mission accomplished by now or something. I guess we'll just sit here until this fire burns out. It just went out. I don't know. Are we done? I'd say we're done. Briefing. Ground attack easy. Engage at will. Yeah, I think we're done. I think we're done with that one. Doesn't say if it was complete or not, but... yeah, we're done on that one. Okay. That's it for the Huey on this one. I don't know if I'm gonna do ATS tonight or not, but it's been fun. Let me see how long we got on our stream. Yeah, almost 2 hours, so it's good to go. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I don't know if I'm gonna get to ATS or not tonight. I'm not sure. I might. We'll see. On that note, I'll catch you next time. Peace.